Hello everyone, it's Cleo here, and today I'm going to be talking about what people get so wrong about astrology and how it really works. I've been studying the subject rather seriously for 6 years now, so although I would not call myself a complete expert, nor do I believe many people are in this subject, there's just so much to it, I do know more than the average person, and I'm going to be explaining to you the most common misconceptions and how it really works. Of course, the first thing most people think about when it comes to astrology is sun sign newspaper columns. And you know those, they're your horoscope you get in a magazine. Sometimes there's memes about these things as well, predicting a teeny bit of your future, and generally it's something that could apply to anybody, or it's a load of nonsense that doesn't apply to anyone. And very rarely is this accurate, and this is just really sad because I know why it's come about. It's because the sun moves in a pattern 365 days, and we understand that because that's how we measure our years, by the sun's apparent pattern around the earth. I do not think the sun revolves around the earth, but it appears to, and that's what we use. It's how it appears. It appears to be revolving around the earth. That's 365 days is divided up into 12 separate signs, and it's the same time every year. So people born between the 20th of February and the 20th of March are Pisces. But that's just their sun sign. Of course, astrology has so much more to it than just the sun. There are, of course, other bodies in the sky other astrologers use, but the ones I personally use in my readings are the Sun, the Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, and the Ascendant and the Midheaven, of course. All of these are placed in different signs at any given time, and of course they all have different orbit times around the sun, and of course in the moon's case, the orbit time around the earth. So this means they are in different signs all the time. They're moving at different speeds through these different signs. It is that complicated. All those bodies are interacting with each other, the different signs. And you have to learn how to interpret all of that, so there's so much more to it than just that little sun sign column. So of course most people are used to just seeing Pisces. They don't even exactly know what they're looking at. They don't understand that it even is the sun sign. They just are a Pisces, that's just what I am. But that's just one teeny little part of your chart, and you probably won't even relate to that as much as your moon and ascendant sign. This is what it all looks like typically drawn up. There are many different ways to draw a chart, but this is the most popular style, and every planet, every sign has its own symbol. You have to learn to memorize those and then interpret them. And then we have all of the signs, which do have a particular order they go in, of course. They go in order: Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces. Every sign and every planet, even if it's not a planet, we call them planets. The sun and the moon, we call them planets for the sake of simplicity, not because we really think the sun and the moon are planets. Everybody knows they're not. They all have their own set of stereotypes. You, personally, are more than one thing. You may relate to one sign especially because you have a lot of placements there, but that is not your only characteristic. So when you see stereotypes, for example, about Pisces, you're probably not going to relate to everything because some of you, or most of you, won't have that much in that place. You might have lots of planets in Taurus, and you might relate a lot more strongly to that sign. The easiest way to find out exactly your own placements is to use the calculator. I have left a link in the description below. You just plug in your birth time and place and date, and you will find your exact chart coming up on screen. If you forget which symbols are which, you can very easily do a Google and just refer to that next tab to see which one's which, because often it will not say on the chart what's what. You do have to memorize those symbols. That's very important. The first thing a lot of people notice when they see a chart, they see that it is divided up into 12 kind of pie slices around the circle, and people wonder what those are. Why is there nothing in this part then? What do these mean? That is your houses. They are divided up into 12 sections which represent different parts of your life. Of course, this isn't to say that you have a completely unimportant area of your life, there's nothing in that house. It's just to say that it's not coloured by the influence of those planets, that the other houses that are tenanted, as we say, they're being influenced over there. It doesn't mean, for example, the house of money and belongings, which is the second house, if you have nothing in there, it doesn't mean you're going to be poor or you're going to have nothing. It doesn't mean that at all. It just means that that house isn't being coloured in particular by any planetary placements. The 12 signs are all divided up into 2 different groupings. So there are 4 elements. They go in order: fire, earth, air, water. And there are 3 signs in each element. And there are modalities, which go cardinal, fixed, mutable. And there are 4 signs in each of those. So of course when you combine those, you have 1 mutable fire sign, 1 mutable earth signs, so on and so forth. And that gives an indicator of how all these signs interact with each other. For example, the mutable earth sign and the mutable fire sign are Virgo and Sagittarius. When two planets are in those signs, they do not react together very well. They are in an aspect, which is when along the circle you will see that they have angular relationships to each other. So when two planets are around 90 degrees apart from each other along the ecliptic, which is the sky as we see it from the Earth, that is when we consider them to be in a square aspect. This is generally considered to be a tense one. There are good ones as well, such as a trine, which is 120 degrees apart. 180 degrees is an opposition, and 0 degrees, when they are in the same spot, is a conjunction, and then 60 degrees is a sextile. Those are the main aspects. There are other smaller ones, those are the ones we mainly keep in mind. And those are all the main points. It actually is even more complicated than that. There are even more points to consider than just that. But that would be the basic understanding of how to interpret it, or how to understand how it even works. So now you might understand how complicated it is. Now once again, the sun sign columns are a load of nonsense. I don't really believe you can predict anything using those, because that would apply to everybody with a similar birth date. You know, 20th of February to 20th of March, all of you people should have the same destiny if it was that simple, and it just isn't. Of course, when you consider all of these other aspects at play, and the astrological aspects and just generally the word, you can see how much more complicated it is and how it could begin to apply very specifically only to you. I'll be making more videos going in depth about all of these separate points, because it's very unlikely anybody could watch this video not understanding anything and come out understanding very much of all of this, because there is so much to it. I can't say that too much. There is so much to it. It is so complicated, it takes years and years and years just to understand. Most, even professional astrologers will say, you are forever a student. So my final point is that most people think astrology is only for making predictions and for very vague personality traits. Some people are aware of that. But there's a lot more to it than that actually. There are different branches of it, and that means it has many different uses. There is natal astrology, which is your own personal birth chart. Then there is the transits on those, which is typically what people are trying to assess when they are predicting the future for you. There is sign astro, which is when you look at two charts together and see how well two people work together. There is elective astrology for when you want to gain insight when to do something, when to start a project, so on and so forth. There is horary astrology, which is when you want to ask a single question. There's mundane astrology, which is about predicting events for the entire world. Financial astrology, some people even use it for looking at past lives, and there is so much more. There's not just for one single purpose. There is a lot of branches to it. Of course, most people are not experts or even know how to practice all of it, but there is all that in existence. As I said, I'm going to be making a lot more videos explaining kind of one step at a time how to begin to interpret your chart and understand yourself, other people, the world around you, and your future a little bit better, or a lot better. I understand at first it seems completely outfacing, like you could never understand it, it's just too complicated. That's what I thought I could never understand it, but of course now I do, and it's incredibly insightful, and I would encourage anybody, absolutely anybody, to try and understand just a little bit. Even people who come into this not believing it, thinking it's going to be a load of baloney, they come out believing in it, because I promise it does work. Once you actually understand it, and don't believe just magazines and memes online, once you finally understand all that I've explained, you will begin to see how it works. It's such an amazing tool for understanding yourself. And that's all for now. If you enjoyed this video, and I sincerely hope you did, please give it a like and subscribe for more. I'll see you all soon. Thanks for watching.